The story of Jesse Owens begins in 1933 in Fall, Ohio. Times are tough and poverty is pandemic. However, his strides lead him to an extraordinary destiny. It's a special day and bathed in the love of his family. Jesse Owens is getting ready to go to college. He is the first to carry out higher studies. Overflowing with pride, his mother-grandma blesses him by whispering to him that an extraordinary epic awaits him. Meet former track and field hopeful coach Larry Snyder. We're at Ohio State University. The coach can only bitterly note, once again, the lamentable decay of his sprint leader. He really doubts the potential of his students. The lack of victory places him in a delicate situation and he risks being fired. When he arrives at the office, his secretary Peggy sends him the new files for the athletics team. In full reflection, our attention arises on the file of Jesse Owens. However, before his departure, the young man sends his warm goodbyes to his daughter Gloria and his mother Ruth Solomon, whom he has not yet married. The love that animates this African-American family is sincere and strong. They have absolute trust in each other. The so-called country of the free locks the black community in an oppressive racial segregation. African Americans are forced to sit in the back of the bus. Blacks are an extremely small minority among an exclusively leucodermic student population. They are obliged, forced to shower after the others. The segregationist tries to produce a feeling of constant inferiority in the targeted person. The cowardice of the number is expressed and our two young men face racial insults. Jesse knows the trick of the devil and does not fall into the trap. He reasons with Dave and makes him understand that the objective is to try to get them expelled from the university. He must dominate the situation by remaining conscious. Jesse Owens captured all the curiosity of Coach Larry Snyder. He is expected for an interview in order to get to know him. The respectful but evasive look of the young man is perceived as a lack of self-confidence by the coach. Jesse faces him with his powerful aura. He reveals to him that he is far from being erased and shy. At the age of 6 years already, he was tested by the infernal work of the harvest in the cotton fields. The coach tells him that strength of character is one of the keys to success. Records are forgotten when they are broken, it's only a matter of time. As they win, engrave your name in posterity. On the wall, a photograph of the 1924 Olympic Games catches Jesse's eye. Larry, who is actually very impressed by the presence of the young man, offers him to do everything in order to participate in the 1936 Berlin Games to win gold medals. Jesse, who is up to date with world geopolitical news, lets him know that black men are not at all appreciated by the Nazis. The coach tells him in return that the United States of America are not so different towards them. He honestly asks him why he didn't choose a university in a less segregated state of the USA. Jesse replies that he wanted to be able to progress with the best coach of the moment. The next morning, the young man's chronometers already reveal the enormous potential he possesses. Our time at the 100-meter leaves those present speechless. Larry is sure something big is about to happen. We are now at the Commodore Hotel in New York. It is the seat of the American Olympic Committee. The atmosphere is tense. Serious acts committed against the Jewish population in Germany divide this assembly. Is USA participation on German soil possible? After passionate debate, Avery Brundage is designated to go to Berlin. It must be assured that the ethics and the Olympic values will be respected by the Nazi power. In Ohio, the new training techniques for the time of Coach Larry Snyder are exhausting. Jesse Owens finds despite everything the strength to work to provide for the needs of his small family. This causes their absence from training and attracts the attention of the coach. He thinks Jesse is distracted and unmotivated. This one will reveal to him that he must work to meet the needs of his child. Larry is surprised because he did not know that Jesse was a father. We are now in Berliner Tempelhof Airport. Avery Brundage is there to ensure the compliance of future games. He is surprised by the gigantism of the German construction sites. Its game will be those of excessiveness filmed with care to spread the fascist propaganda. Discrimination against the Jewish population is omnipresent. Avery Brundage sees it when he goes to the sports center in Berlin. A sign reads, "No Jews or dog allowed." He meets filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl. She introduces him in turn to the minister Joseph Goebbels, representing the Nazi authorities. The atmosphere is freezing. Avery Brundage is intransigent and wants to guarantee that African Americans and Jews can participate without suffering the slightest marginalization. The minister Joseph Goebbels wants in return his total support to have the German Games of 1936 approved. The deal is concluded without a handshake. Avery has the feelings of having made a pact with the devil. However, at the University of Ohio, Coach Larry Snyder provides Jesse Owens with an official legislature card that entitles him to $60 a month. He will be able to focus solely on athletics without having to work at the same time. In doing so, the black prodigy improves his technique and optimizes his race. There are many racist insults towards black students. The coach notices this stupid arching. Once in the locker room, he tells Jesse not to be distracted by the white gorillas of the day. The defensiveness of the coach provokes a dispute among the athletes. The fascist atmosphere is all American. Larry Snyder takes the opportunity to prepare Jesse for the insults he will have to face on United States soil. During a moment of lively conviviality around a good cold beer, Jesse participates in a jumping contest where he comes close to a serious back injury. We are now on May 285, 1935 in Ann Arbor, Michigan for the national championship final. Despite persistent back pain, Jesse reassures Larry and assures him that he is fit to compete in the 100-yard dash. The public will be very hostile. At 3:15 p.m., despite an average start, Jesse wins and signs his first world record. Racism is omnipresent. The official lies and falsifies the time on the stopwatch to minimize the performance. Larry Snyder cries out for injustice, testifying to a brilliantly precocious maturity. The young African American will save the situation by challenging the intelligence of his coach. Continuing his momentum, he presents himself in the long jump. The particular care he shows in scrupulously analyzing the terrain is surprising. He deposits a landmark to visualize the objective to beat. At 3:35 p.m., he performs a legendary leap and sets himself a new world record. Jesse Owens gets the respect of the crowd and the officials who can only bow to his talent. At 3:45 p.m., he achieves the second world record on the 200-meter dash and the crowd forgets his skin color. Euphoria wipes out differences for a while and magnetizes minds. At 4 p.m., Jesse Owens excels on the 225-yard hurdles and wins a third world record in 45 minutes of competition. During the return to Ohio, Larry Snyder confesses to him that he broke the records he had held for 11 years. An extremely competitive duo is born. On June 25, 1935, a high-level competition is announced in Los Angeles. These sporting achievements make him a superstar. It provokes the brakes of a country which imposes racial segregation as a social model. It flies over the competition and the victory will be celebrated in the hot night of the Roaring '20s. The jazz is vibrant and a singer named Mademoiselle Nicholson will put the fever in her body. She will trap him and he will become hers. New to Berlin, Avery can only see the efforts made by the German regime to obtain its unfailing support. The propaganda illustrated by its games should, according to them, reveal the superiority of their race. Using flattery, he tries to bribe Avery by asking for his expertise for a juicy architectural contract offered to his company. The symbolism is strong and the sketch places American power on the same fascist line as the Nazi regime. We are back in the USA for the National 4th of July celebration. Jesse is with his mistress in Lincoln, Nebraska. His new relationship is exposed in the big day in the newspapers. The mother of his daughter Ruth Solomon, the one who had placed all her trust in him, was heartbroken. His betrayals gnawed at him inexorably. His guilt was such that it distracted him to the point that he could no longer be fully focused on his race. Thus, at Memorial Stadium, he will be beaten. Annoyed, he is advised by his trainer who sees in him a man of integrity, not those who thrive on lying. His passionate relationship with Miss Nicholson disturbs him deeply. If he wants to perform and qualify for the Olympic Games in Berlin, he must clear his conscience. In the process, he puts an abrupt end to his relationship and frees himself from this enchanting mistress. He returns to Ohio to try to explain himself to his daughter's mother. In the rain, Jesse goes to the hair salon where she works. His intentions are sincere, but the pain felt is painful. She really resents him and refuses to talk to him. He will wait in the freezing rain all day. Ruth Solomon will see his deep guilt and he will ask her in marriage. They will finally unite for better after the worst, and she becomes the wife Ruth Solomon/Owens. We are now on December 23, 1935. The American Olympic Committee is preparing to vote for the presence of the United States at the Berlin Games. The talks divide the protagonists who are offended by the Nazi violence they inflict on their own fellow citizens of African American origin. The yes will prevail. The USA will indeed be present at the 1936 Games. However, the Association for the Advancement of Colored People sends him a representative. They think that Jesse Owens must give up participating in the event to demonstrate his support for the oppressed populations in Germany. This will highlight, according to them, the fascist policy of the United States towards black women. Jesse's father, Henry Owens, does not appreciate this injunction at all. They find the words to free him from the doubts that the NAAC request can create in him. Accompanied by his wife, he goes to the University of Ohio. All attention is on the radio. The radio wave vibrates for the English boxing fight between Joe Louis and Max Schmeling. Unfortunately, it will be a defeat for the American boxing champion. In the dejection, Larry Snyder tries to warm the spirits. Jesse talks about his doubts about his presence at the games. The intoxicated reaction of the coach will be furious. He will lose himself more in alcohol and advise him at night. The next morning, he will meet Jesse on the road. They will try to convince him not to let this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity pass. Jesse is logically troubled. He will intelligently allow himself time for reflection. During the July 1936 Olympic trials in New York, the young African-American prodigy will qualify brilliantly for 3 sports disciplines. Exchanges with the press stigmatized the racial and anti-Semitic question. Larry is trying to join the official coaching staff for the games. His efforts will be in vain and he will fail to convince them. From his side, Jesse is influenced by Julius Peacock. This makes him measure the importance of the opportunity to participate in these Berlin Games. He reinforces his words in an instant on the pride that the black community will feel when seeing him triumphed. Its success will disturb both German and American racists. He will consult Ruth to help him make a decision. She will tell him to listen to her heart and will choose to pursue her destiny. She will materialize the family love by appended with her photo inside. Jesse will add the fruit of their union with a lock of hair from their young children. Blessed by their protection, he evolves on the ocean to get to the Olympic game in Berlin. To his surprise, he sees Larry on the boat. This one wanted to be present to encourage him. American discrimination is omnipresent. Black athletes are forced to sleep in the warehouse, in the hold of the ship. Larry prefers to abandon the first class reserved for whites and settles with the colored athletes. He totally supports Jesse with this gesture. However, in Germany, in full presentation of a film to the official of the Third Reich, the parade of Nazi sympathizers merges with the hateful madness of the Ku Klux Klan. The same destructive fire animates these totalitarian twins. The madness of grandeur flattered the ego of these megalomaniacs. The quality of the work produced by Leni Riefenstahl places her as a co-occurrent in the eyes of the German minister. Domination speaks and Joseph Goebbels makes her understand that she is his subordinate. Despite this, the colossal means of production that she asks for will be granted to her. Under the flags of the USA and the Third Reich floating in the air. Athletes from countries participating in these games arrive at the stadium where a large crowd awaits them. The Nazi orchestra plays the American anthem to perfection. The American delegation has black, white, and Jewish representatives. The latter take pleasure in hanging their Star of David under the astonished eyes of the German soldiers. Surprisingly, Jesse Owens finds that here, there is no dormitory reserved for whites. Among the German Nazis, they all sleep and eat at the same table. Jesse does not fail to point this out to his fellow Americans. The Nazis are flattered by the glorious aspect inspired by the propaganda film made for them. During training, our two athletes noticed the Germanic long jumper Karl lose long. His qualities are undeniable, and this formidable opponent will be ultra-motivated by his public. The avant-garde training methods for the time of Coach Larry Snyder displease his national counterpart. Jesse Owens' response is scathing. He tells him he wouldn't even be qualified to train a dog. Enraged as ever, Dean Cromwell demands a flat apology. Jesse in turn demands to train with Larry. The racist anger of Dean Cromwell will be of such madness that the African-American champion will threaten to leave the national selection. Not wanting to risk losing their best medal chances for these games, Lawson Robertson, head of the Olympic team, will comply with Jesse's request. Going alone in the dark nights of Berlin in order to find quality shoes for the young champion, Larry surprises, at the bend of a dark alley, what can only be a deportation of a Jewish family in the shadow of view. He is violently surprised by a soldier of the Third Reich who quickly forces him to leave the place. Back in the locker room, he assists Jesse in his warm-up prefiguring the ultimate test. The young athlete immediately notices that something serious literally takes Larry to the guts. The competition does not wait. Only the prodigy of the track presents itself in front of the huge door which leads to the stadium. The stands are crowded. He finds himself alone in the face of the excess of German propaganda. Hitler's appearance in the stands triggers Nazi salutes as far as the eye can see. He is given a standing ovation by the crowd. Carrying the number 733, Jesse bends down to reach for something in his bag. He motivates himself by grabbing the pendant containing Ruth's photo and Gloria's hair box. As usual, he perfects all the innate details of the race. This black star lights up the 100 meters with his perfect technique and wins the race in 10 seconds and 3/10. Thanks to him, the American anthem resounds and he obtains his first gold medal. The American officials will congratulate him, but the Nazis will refuse to shake his hand in front of the photographs. Minister Joseph Goebbels will mean that their supreme leader cannot afford to be seen with a black man. Now begins the qualifications for the long jump event. Not neglecting any details, Jesse takes the time to analyze the track. The Olympic rules differ from those of the United States. He crosses the line, the red flag is raised, and he is penalized with an attempt. His second try is unfortunately bitten. He only has one attempt left to qualify. Surprisingly, Lutz Lang poses a handkerchief for which will be used as landmark. The German wants to be able to measure himself against the best possible competitors. Under the cheers of the public, Jesse will qualify for the long jump final and will sincerely thank Lutz for his high-class gesture. Adolf Hitler will be present for this epic finale. The Nazi regime prepares celebrated Karl, long the reigning European champion. The first jump of the German is measured at 7 meters 54. That of Jesse Owens will be 7 meters 74. Karl Lutz will tear himself away by realizing a new European record measured at 7 meters 87. Owens will shine with a spectacular performance measured at 7 meters 94. Seeing the German champion failed in his last attempt, the Nazi officials will be exasperated at the idea of seeing in this game of white propaganda a black athlete seized once again the highest step of the podium. But, encouraged by Karl, long in person, the African American will fly in the air and achieve an Olympic record measured at 8 meters 06. Lutz will lead Jesse on a well-deserved victory lap. They will be acclaimed from all sides with the exception of the Nazi leaders who will attend wounded in their pride. After this monumental final, Jesse visits Lutz to chat over a good cold German beer. They will realize that they live in their respective countries, the same despicable dictates from ruthless political power. The final of the men's 200 meters is taking shape. It's been 36 years since any athlete has won 3 gold medals in the same edition. Jesse's relatives are all gathered to follow the broadcast of the race. Leni Riefenstahl is surprised to find that Joseph Goebbels has had the filming of the race banned. She will override her orders and reveal a camera. The minister will only be able to contemplate his impotence. The tension is at its height and the starter launches this final of the 200 meters. The beating hearts are punctuated by the rapid stride of the runners. An exultation of joy is shared by the crowds all over the world. The Black American community in particular celebrates in communion this sensational victory. Immeasurable pride reads on the face of Henry Owens, Jesse's father. Conversely, the humiliation is total for the Third Reich. In a desperate dash, the Germans will try through the intermediary of Avery Brundage to prohibit the participation of Jewish runners in the relay 4 times 100 meters. They will threaten Harry to reveal to the press the lucrative contract they have concluded together. The blackmail will work because to avoid a scandal that could cost him dearly, Harry will do it. The sad news will be greeted with disgust and contempt by Marty and Sam, the 2 Jewish athletes who were supposed to run this relay. Ralph and Jesse reluctantly replaced them despite Jesse's inexperience in the relay race. Once the emotion has passed, Marty and Sam will find the right words to make Jesse feel guilty and encourage him to win this race. The long-awaited moment finally arrives. The starter sounds and marks the start of this exceptional event. Owens launches the American sprint perfectly. The passage of witnesses is perfect and the last runner is ideally placed. Nazi officials are once again seeing their race theory destroyed before their eyes by a black African-American athlete. It is adorned with 4 gold medals that Jesse Owens will return to the United States of America. Coach Larry is overwhelmed with emotions. While having succeeded in being able to film one last time the African-American prodigy, Leni Riefenstahl confessed to her that for her, he made history forever. On September 1st, 1939, the German army invaded Poland, beginning the Second World War. 1 million people cheered Jesse Owens when he arrived in New York. In 1960, during an evening given in his own honor in Rome, under the incomprehension of Larry, he will be despite everything forced to borrow the service entrance. The White House never publicly acknowledged Jesse Owens or his success in the 1936 Olympic game. It would be 25 years before the last of his world record was broken.